Today we are reacting to posts from the subreddit Am I the Asshole? So I'm excited about this. Okay, so the first one. Am I the asshole for refusing to eat from my colleague's vegan birthday cake?
No.
We don't know the situation yet.
I don't care. It's a vegan birthday cake. I can't imagine it's going well.
Okay. I, 29 female, am working in an office and I have a colleague B who routinely makes fun of vegans. I am vegan and I never make a fuss about food. I go to the same restaurants as my coworkers during lunch hour and I can always find myself something to eat without announcing my dietary choices. B keeps calling me out on it though, and she's very condescending about it. She keeps saying I am just having a phase, and she keeps offering me bites of her lunch that contain cheese and meat, and when I refuse, she just goes, "Oh, come on, it's vegan, I promise." Wink, wink. It's very childish and annoying, and even other people asked her to tone it down, but she insists she's just joking. Last week, she brought a homemade cake to the office for her birthday, and when she put a slice down in front of me, I politely thanked her but said I can't eat that. She said the cake is vegan, and she made it specifically so I could eat it, but knowing her very loose definition of vegan, I asked a few questions about the ingredients, and she didn't check any of them for milk or eggs, so I thanked her again but refused the slice. She made a big scene out of it. She started crying and saying she just wanted to do something nice for me, and now I ruined her birthday. Some colleagues told me not to mind her dramatics, but my boss told me that it was her birthday and I could have given her cooking the benefit of the doubt. I sort of see his point, but I also feel like I don't need to justify my food choices to anyone, and I never asked her to make the cake vegan for me. Am I the asshole? No.
So, I initially believed this was going to be a normal human being. I was going to say carnivore, but that's normal human being. Refusing to eat somebody's vegan cake because, I thought it was going to be, a child's birthday or something, and they showed up with a vegan cake. But for it to be a vegan, refusing to eat a vegan cake because they don't trust the person, I still don't really feel like they're the asshole.
No.
But it is a completely different situation than
I just feel like you're not obligated to eat anything. Like, someone could be on a diet and they wouldn't want cake, or I don't know, there could be anything, right?
Yeah.
That it's just for you to start crying because she's like, "No, I'm good," when it's a cake, it's not that big of a deal. And it sounds like the coworker has a pretty big history of being haha, it's vegan, when it's clearly not, which is just really rude in my opinion. Okay, maybe you make one or two jokes about them being vegan, but going so far as to try and get them to eat food that's not vegan is just really disrespectful.
Yeah, I agree. I don't personally agree with the vegan lifestyle. I'll just get that out of the way. However, the first couple of jokes is obligatory, right? Oh, haha, silly vegan. But it sounds like it's been going on for quite some time. And at what point do you realize that it's it was funny the first few times and then maybe deserved the couple times after that? But there's got to be a line somewhere. And I feel repeatedly trying to feed people shit that is not vegan is pretty douchey.
Yeah.
And then it's like crying wolf, right? You're oh, haha, I have some of this pork rind. It's vegan, I promise. And then that you do that repeatedly to them, and they say, "No, I don't want any because I know it's not vegan." And then you present them with something that you're "Oh, I swear it's vegan," just like every other thing that hasn't been vegan that I swear is vegan. Please have some. No.
Yeah. How would she even begin to trust you at that point? And the fact that when she asked her about ingredients and she said she didn't check, which personally, I know, if you're going to get a box thing, and if she made the cake, it probably has egg or milk in it somewhere, or some kind of dairy product. And if she ordered it from somewhere, unless she specifically asked for a vegan cake, which I don't think she did. I just find it very hard to believe if she's making fun of this girl so much that she's gonna buy a whole cake that's vegan.
Can't imagine a vegan cake tastes very good.
Anyways, No, you're not the asshole. Your coworker is, and I can't believe that they would start crying and saying that you ruined her birthday just because you didn't want a slice of the probably not vegan cake.
You should get one of those, like, you ever watch Mythbusters and they have like the busted and confirmed? You should get like a not the asshole and you're an asshole.
I'll just put a sticker like right in between us. Okay. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my aunt? Names have been changed. I'm child-free, relationship-free, and sex-free. This is important for the story. I have no problems with people who have these things and will fully support people struggling with fertility issues as much as my body autonomy will allow. The only thing I won't do is be a surrogate. Me, 29, female, and my parents were at a family party and my nosy Aunt Caroline asked, "So when are you going to get married and have kids?" It's no secret that I want neither because I want to be happy on my terms. When I reminded her that I wanted neither, she went off that I wasn't a real woman if I didn't do these things, but I just rolled my eyes having heard it all before. Then came this gem. What about all the other women who can't have kids? Like your Aunt Jessie? You're so selfish. Aunt Jessie and her husband have tried to get pregnant for years, and after a few failed rounds of IVF, she just decided to have a hysterectomy and not deal with it anymore. Her husband has been so supportive of her throughout the whole thing, and 20 years later, still going strong. I just laughed, pulled out my phone, and called Jessie, who lives a few states away, and asked her about what she thought of child-free women. That's their business. Why are you asking? Caroline said to think about you when I said I don't want kids and that I'm selfish and should pity people like you. This earned a gasp from the rest of the party, Caroline going ghost white. Jessie was having none of it. JFC, Caroline, let the woman be happy. She's the only person to help me after my surgery. You said you had better things to do. Shut the F up and let me speak for myself. I thanked Jessie and hung up. Caroline was so humiliated she was crying, and she just left the party. The younger people thought it was much overdue. Caroline got put in her place, but the older ones thought I was being petty. So am I the asshole for embarrassing my aunt? No.
No.
Because I hate people who bring up stuff like that. Like, whether or not you want to have kids or get married or whatever, that's a very personal decision. It's a very big decision if you're going to be having kids because that's a whole person that you have to take care of. So, and like, yes, it sucks that there are people who are like infertile or they struggle with having kids, but like that's not on you. Like you literally can't force someone to have like sex and have a baby if they don't want it. Like that's so messed up. Like it's like, yes, we can feel bad for her and we don't have to bring it up. Like if some woman who can have kids doesn't want kids, like it's just gross.
And it's also the part at the end there about the younger people felt like it was overdue and the older people thought that you were being petty. That's so standard. That's so classic. It's always like she's probably younger than her aunt, whatever her name was, Caroline,
yeah.
She's probably younger than Aunt Caroline, so it's probably some 29-year-old and probably a 50-year-old. And all the other 50-year-olds there are like, oh, you need to respect your elders. And all the younger kids are like, well, your elder's a dick. So,
yeah. Like, old people have the audacity. Is basically it. And sometimes you gotta let them know that, no, that's not okay. And, like, she literally said, oh, why don't you think of Aunt Jessie? Let me ask Aunt Jessie. Like, that's kind of, I mean, maybe it's a little petty, but, like...
Oh, it's definitely petty, but that doesn't mean...
I don't think it's wrong, though.
Yes, you can be petty for a lot of people is you're just taking things too far or you're letting little things upset you more than they need to. Like, oh, I owe you a bunch of money. I'm going to be petty about it and pay it all back in change. That's a little unnecessary. You're doing that specifically to cause a problem. Like, yeah, I'm paying you back, but, like, I'm being rude about it. And yes, she was being rude back to Aunt Carolyn, but Aunt Carolyn was literally begging for it.
Yeah. I just don't agree with, like, that you can never say something back to the elders of your family because sometimes people are just wrong. Like, sometimes they're just rude and you shouldn't, like, my opinion is that just because they're family doesn't mean you have to put up with, like, people being rude to you or, like, abuse. Like, it's just not cool. If someone doesn't treat you well, I don't care if they're blood, like, especially when you're an adult, like, you can remove yourself from that thing or you can tell them, like, hey, that's not okay.
Yeah, and at what point do you... She's 29, she's 30 years old. It's a grown-ass woman.
Yeah.
At what point do you not have to bend anymore? Like when you're in your teens or even your early 20s and your mom tells you to do something, you do it. Then you move out, and now she doesn't really have that ability to control you anymore. But if you're around, she can still kind of boss you around. But like when, like my mom is 50 something, and I have grandparents in their 70s, and my mom has kids. We go over to my grandparents' house. I don't think my grandmother is like bossing my mom around anymore.
Yeah.
She's a grown woman with adult children. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So where's the line? You know, I feel like 30 is gotta be at close, if not past.
Yeah, I feel like if you're around 30, like you're probably either settled or like kind of getting settled, or at least you know more of what you want. So yeah, no, you're not the asshole. Your aunt is.
Oof. Let's do that one. Come on. That looks like a hard hitting one.
Oh boy. Okay.
Just read the title out loud, and then we can look.
Am I the asshole for telling my daughters that I made a mistake by choosing to stay in their lives?
I'm not gonna say you are or are not yet, but that's not a good sounding title.
Yeah,
that
that's
sounds
a
pretty.
hitter.
That's pretty damning off the bat. We'll see if you can
boy.
save yourself.
My ex-wife and I got divorced 14 years ago. It was due to infidelity on her part. Our daughters were 9 and 7 at the time. The divorce was messy. She moved in with her affair partner and ended up with primary custody. I got every other weekend. It was a disaster from the very start. The kids did not respond well to the changes. I tried to have a good co-parenting thing going, but little did I know that my daughters were being turned against me. They would be angry and sullen each time they would visit and refuse to talk about what was wrong. Tantrums, screaming, cursing became the norm. And that's when they were not totally withdrawn. They were being fed complete lies about me, how I didn't love them, how I was going to leave them for another family, etc. It didn't improve with time. In their teens, they cost me 2 very serious relationships. They didn't even want to visit me anymore, but I insisted that they do. I don't know if that was a mistake or not. They pretty much cut me off when they turned 18. The only time they'd visit was to ask for money. I thought things would improve as they got older and saw through all the lies, but sadly it hasn't. I think it never will. I'm just done at this point. At the start of this year, they'd come to my house to ask for more money. When I refused, they yelled at me again and said they wished I wasn't their father. Something broke inside me, and I told them I wish I had just walked away from them. That if I hadn't stayed in their lives, maybe I would have had an actual shot at a happy life. Maybe they would have too. They looked shocked, and they then screamed and cried and left. I haven't seen them since. No visits, no phone calls, nothing. It fills me with incredible guilt, but I almost feel relieved that they're not around anymore. It was a terrible thing to say, but I can't help but feel like there was truth in it. So, am I the asshole?
No.
That is, well, so there's, like, the other ones were, like, so simple that it was like, yeah, like, whatever, like, you're not, you know. This one is, like, messy, and we don't have a lot of context.
Well, but the important thing to do in a situation like this is you have to assume that they're telling you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Because if you just assume everybody's lying to you or giving you a half-truth, you can never really make a decision, right? So just assuming that what he's saying is true and he's not, like, leaving out important context, I definitely don't feel that he's the asshole. I feel that if they've been mean to him their whole lives and venomous to him, to use his words, which is a very good, that's a nice $20 word right there, venomous, in this context at least, not talking about a snake. I definitely feel like they express similar feelings to him, like, oh, we wish you weren't our dad. Well, okay, well, I wish I wasn't in your life. And then you have the audacity to cry about it. You literally started it. You've been doing it for 20 years.
Well, okay, so, like, even assuming that, like, he's completely telling the truth and, like, that maybe, like, he's not an awful person or, like, whatever, like, okay, whatever. Ignoring all the potential things that we don't know about, just going off this, if he is telling the truth. Again, it's just, like, a really messy situation, and I feel like it's not okay for them to say what they said, but that doesn't make it okay for then you as the parent to say that, which I know is, like, kind of not fair, but I don't know. I mean, at that point, I guess, yeah, if you're just going to cut them off or if you want to have them out of your life, but if you actually want them to stay in your life, you can't just, like, say stuff like that. For me, if I, like, had a fight with my dad, which, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I would say, like, oh, I wish you weren't my father. But, you know, like, and it's a little bit different because it sounds like, because he said they're already 18, right?
Yes.
So, like, you know a little bit better. Like, you know, teenagers sometimes will, like, say stuff. If your dad then turned around and said, I wish, like, I wasn't in your life, that's not okay. That would be, like, so traumatizing.
If you're, like, a moody 15-year-old and but, like, that usually that in that situation, it's, like, you actually live with them and, like, you know, maybe your dad made you late to prom or something and you're like, I wish you weren't my dad.
Yeah.
Like, then your dad saying, well, I wish you were never born is probably not okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem like this situation. And we also just talked about how, like, if you are a grown person, you don't have to take shit from your parents. If you're a parent, you don't have to take shit from your grown child.
Yeah, it is kind of different because they're 18 now. Like,
yeah.
I would say, like, when they're still a minor, you still have an obligation to, like, care for them in some way. But
they don't live with him. They're
yeah.
over 18. They've been mean to him their whole lives. I think he owes them nothing.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is I would have loved to, like, this is, like, obviously a lot of this stuff happened, like, way in the past because they got divorced 14 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, I mean, like, hindsight, like, and we don't know, like, the money situation, but, like, maybe family therapy. I gotta suggest it. Like, if you're, like, having your kids come over and then they're acting like that and not talking to you and all that stuff, like, maybe we should go to some kind of therapy, or at least put them in therapy and let them talk it out with their therapist, and then maybe they'll, like, learn to treat you better and, like, express themselves better.
This is also just another example of the family court system being completely unfair to men, because it's, again, only going off of the information he provides, because, you know, he could have hit her or something, we just wouldn't know, but, like, we can't assume that. That's unfair. He says she cheated on him, and then she got the kids too.
Yeah, that's, like, also,
that's
like, pretty
fair.
Awful.
I feel like if you cheat or, like, abuse your partner, you should literally forfeit, like, the house, alimony, the kids. You shouldn't get any of that, because that stuff to me is, like, breaching your marriage promise.
Yeah, if you're gonna cheat, that's, like, literally your marriage is null and void, basically.
Which means you are owed nothing, because if your marriage is null, then your right to those things are null. It
is hard with kids, though, because the kids is, like, not really, I mean, like, it's kind of part of the marriage, but, like, that's a whole person. You are still the parent, like, you, especially for, like, a mom, like, you did still give birth to like, if you look at, you know, the genes that they got, like, half is from the dad and half is from you, so it's that's not as easy, but, like, I definitely see what you're saying. Then I think she maybe shouldn't have gotten primary custody.
No, I don't think she should get, like, no custody. That depends. We would need more context than we were given to make that decision. But especially because I almost never think that in a clean divorce, if you just don't love each other anymore and you want to get divorced, I don't think one person should get, like, full custody of the kids. Right, and then God forbid you, like we said, breach your marriage contract with cheating or abuse. I definitely don't think the person that did the cheating should get primary custody of the kids.
Oh yeah, especially if it was abuse. Can you imagine? Like, if you get divorced because your partner is abusive, they should not have the kids even, like, at all. Like, that is a case where they should not get custody of the kids, like, ever.
Well, see, like,
there's, especially if you can, like, prove that there is abuse.
I feel like abuse a lot of the time, since that's, like, a crime, and is a lot of people who are abusive have a pattern of abuse. Yeah. They won't get the kids, except the problem with that is that would only be true if it was a man doing the abusing. Mm-hmm. If a woman was doing the abusing, one, they, like, half the time the court won't even hear that, and then two, who knows? They're a woman. The woman always gets the kids all the time, especially if it's a daughter. Yeah. Daughters do need their mothers, though. That's for sure.
It's just hard.
It's a terrible situation to be in.
But I guess we'll just say that you're not really the asshole. It's a very unfortunate situation by the sound of it.
I hope it gets better.
Yeah, but yikes, my guy.
Not a good look for sure.
Oh my goodness. Am I the asshole for kicking my dad out of my apartment after he threw out my food?
That's like you after
That's literally
your dad.
me.
Your dad always throws your food away.
So, just like a quick tidbit about me. Like, growing up, it was me. I don't have any siblings, so just me, my parents, and then my Nana, who took care of me when I was younger, and she always lived with us. She passed this past Thanksgiving. But she did have a habit of, like, getting up late at night and rummaging through the fridge. And so, like, she would go in and steal my leftovers, and I would get very upset because I have, like, a weird relationship with food. It's very important to me. I'm too emotional about it. I am aware of it.
She cried one time when the delivery guy forgot some of her food.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, we can just go get more. Like, I'll go drive there, show them the receipt, and they'll give it to us. But she was already crying. Like, it was too late.
Yeah, I mean, and we did go get it. But, like, that's, like, where I'm at. Like, we don't have time to unpack all of that. But, so I have an unhealthy attachment to food. And, so that was, like, one part of it where, like, my Nana would, like, eat my food in the middle of the night. And the other part of it was sometimes I would have leftovers and my dad would just, like, throw them out. And it wasn't even old. Like, let's say, like, I made something the other day for lunch and I had the rest of it left over and I was planning to have it for lunch. He's going through in the morning and clearing out the fridge and he just doesn't even ask me if it's mine or if it's good. Just tosses it. So I can relate.
Parents are crazy with stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's 33 cents worth of bologna. I'm not throwing this away. Someone better eat that. But also it's, I must clear out the fridge every other day.
Yeah, ridiculous. But let's see what the situation is. I, female 26, moved from my parents after I turned 18. My relationship with them, especially my mom, was terrible at the time, but over the years we managed to fix it more or less. I visit them 2 to 3 times per year, and once in a while, one of them comes to my place. Recently it was my dad, male, 51, who was visiting me. In my late teens and early 20s, I was suffering from an eating disorder. Actually, one of the reasons why I moved was because my parents didn't understand it was a real problem. After meeting...
Right.
Maybe like the right psychologist, I'm mostly okay. I don't know. I'm trying to eat healthy and actually have lots of fun with preparing meals for myself. My kitchen is always full of vegetables, fruits, sources of healthy fat like fishes or poultry, meat, etc. Nonetheless, I'm still getting nervous when I have to eat unhealthy meals for too long. I am working on it. For my parents, real food must be deeply fried with a ton of salt or at least be a fast food. When my dad came to me, the plan was for him to stay a week. He had to make his breakfast. I work morning shift, but I was going to make dinners and suppers for both of us. Right after seeing my kitchen, and then after the first meal I cooked for him, I prepared pasta with chicken and zucchini. That sounds good. He started complaining. He said it's no wonder I look so malnourished if I'm eating this way. I have been maintaining the correct weight for the last 4 years, but for him, correct weight is when somebody is at least slightly chubby. Then he said he wants a real food while he is staying in my apartment. I told him where the nearest grocery shop is and that he can buy whatever he wants. I am eating healthy, but I don't really care what he eat. I made a supper. He didn't complain anymore. I decided the problem is solved. The next day, I came back from work and found that he threw out all my food he decided unsuitable and instead bought pre-cooked foods, tons of red meat and sausages, full bag of sweets and chips, and for some reason, a few kilos of potatoes. I started to cry. I don't earn a lot, and a big part of my earnings is spent on food. He told me it's for my own good, since evidently I'm still not of my right mind. He was referring to my previous eating disorder, and should stop being so fussy and eat like a normal person. I packed all the food he bought in bags, carried them in his luggage to the corridor, and told him to get out of my house. The train to my hometown leaves every hour or so I was sure he won't spend the night at the station. He called me an entitled bitch, but eventually left. My dad told the whole family what happened, and most of them say I'm overreacting and I'm heartless because I kicked my own father out. My mom told me neither she nor dad will contact me again until I apologize. Taking care of my eating disorder took me a few years, and even now I'm not fully out of the woods. I don't want to lose my balance again because of my dad's tantrums, but I also don't want my parents out of my life. Should I apologize to him? Am I the asshole?
Initial opinion, yes or no, is she the asshole?
No.
No.
Not even a little bit.
No.
Your dad, well, there's so much to unpack here. Like, first of all, your parents sound very unhealthy.
I would love to hear what her weight is and what, like, her parents' weights are.
Yeah, like what they and then what they think she should be at. But like, honestly, if that's like their household like vibe, like I'm kind of not surprised that she got an eating disorder. God, this is so awful. And like, eating disorders are really dangerous. Like, and very like, it's not that you can't like get out of the woods with them, but it is like very easy to get sucked back into that mindset.
Well, it's like an addiction or like alcoholism.
It really is like addictive behavior.
You can be an alcohol, like you can consume alcohol like a normal human being. Like, you know, maybe I have fast food once a week or something like that. But you can slip into abusive behavior, and now you're drinking every day, and now you're drunk all the time, and then most of those people don't just like stop being an alcoholic, but like have a beer once in a while. They pretty much have to swear off alcohol because of how easy it is to get sucked back into alcoholism. Yeah,
and sounds like she's been doing a really good job because, I mean, we don't know what kind of eating disorder she had. Could have been binge eating, could have been bulimia,
if they
anorexia,
really did eat fast food for every meal, she might have been like overweight and then was like trying to purge or something. Yeah. So bulimia, I believe that
could
one is.
Could be. Yeah, that one's bulimia. Could be. We don't really know. But either way, like, already, it's kind of crazy that any parent would be like not wanting you to eat healthy foods. Like, that's like, it sounds like she has very healthy foods. And it's not like she's not eating meat. She's having fish and chicken. Like, that's good protein sources. And she's getting healthy fat from it, she said. And she's having vegetables and fruits. It sounds like her diet is very healthy. And then for him to do that. But what really gets me is that, like, she's living on her own. So she paid for all that stuff. And vegetables and fruits, I mean, I don't know where she is, but in the U.S., they're not cheap.
Doesn't sound like she's American.
I don't think she's an American. Or, yeah, because the writing, it sounds like English might not be her first language. But either way, like, from a U.S. perspective, vegetables and fruits are expensive. And she said that she was, like, totally stocked with it. So for him to not only like buy, like, it would be one thing if he bought his own stuff and then just put it in the fridge with her stuff, but for him to throw it out when she is living on her own, and so probably like she said, like, most of her budget of her food or her paycheck goes to food, like, that's so, the disrespect is like insane.
It goes back to what we were talking about before, that you do not need to respect your elders when you are a functioning adult. You should always, I mean, you should give everybody a baseline level of respect, of course, unless they throw it away. If they do something to disrespect you, you don't owe them anything. No. Even if it's your parents, like, obviously you should not, like, attack them or something physically. Disclaimer, of course. Yeah. But, like, there's no reason to keep people who treat you this way in your life.
No. And, yeah, no. You're not the asshole. I would not apologize to them. I would make them apologize to me. And it's like, you know what? It sucks. But people are, like, they're either going to realize that what he did was wrong. It doesn't sound like they're going to, but, like, maybe they will when they start missing you. Or they'll just always think they're in the right. And honestly, if that's the type of person they are, even though, like, I know it's hard if it's your parents, because, you know, you want to have that connection with them, but, like, you also don't want to have that type of person in your life that is going to, like, throw out your stuff or break your stuff or whatever, and then want you to apologize when you set a boundary.
This is one of those ones that I would love to hear the father's perspective on this, because I do have a couple of questions about the way that she worded certain things, because I don't know if it's, the way that it's worded, it doesn't feel like English is her first language. The writing is mostly fine, but there's a couple of places where it just doesn't feel like someone who speaks English natively would write it that way.
Yeah.
But a few things is, can you scroll up a little bit? First, she said that her parents for their parents, real food is either deeply fried with a ton of salt or at least be a fast food. The wording of that, I do not think she actually means McDonald's. I think she means a meal that is quickly prepared. Because to say that it must be deeply fried with a ton of salt or at least fast food makes it sound like fast food is like less bad for you than something like that.
Yeah.
Which seems strange. And then she goes out of her way to say that she eats healthy sources of fat like fish and poultry. Like there's no comma there, so she doesn't mean other meats, she means poultry meat, which one is a weird way to write that. So again, probably not English first language, but also specifically fish and chicken means she doesn't eat any like red meat.
Yeah, she could mean like I eat turkey and chicken and like
yeah,
that stuff.
but like she's avoiding red meat.
Yeah.
Which is like chicken is great for you. Please continue to eat chicken.
Fish too.
Fish, very good, very good. Everything that she says she eats sounds like it's very good for you. But I'm wondering why she's cutting out the red meat, because it's not like it's bad for you. It's great in like iron, and it has more protein in it and stuff than fish.
It's not good for you when you have a lot of it.
Right, you shouldn't be eating a steak for every meal.
Because it can, like the thing with the red meat is that it is not great for your heart when you're having a lot of it. So that's like my one thing about it. But I mean, yeah. But there's also like I'm personally like I'm not a huge fan of certain red meats, so maybe she just doesn't like them. I don't know.
Yeah. Another point was that she said that her parents' version of a correct weight is when somebody is at least slightly chubby.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this could just be me reading too much into it, but I think it's part of her opinion of what healthy image looks like because she had the eating disorder for a while, that I think she might, there's a chance, think that the correct weight is actually a little underweight.
That's also,
so I think she may be judging her father a little too hard there. Like he looks at her and says, oh, she's like actually skinny, and she might actually be because of her eating disorder and because she's eating fish and vegetables every day, which is healthy, like I said, but you know, she could be a little underweight. So like I said, I would like to hear what he has to say about it. From her perspective, definitely he's the asshole, and I want to go from her perspective, but I would be interested to see what he had to say.
Yeah, it seems definitely weird that it's like a whole, like, I don't know, for me, the way she describes like what their real food is, like there's some like kind of people who are just like older people, like, you know, the whole like thing of like grandmas and they like want to feed you a lot,
fatten you up.
Yeah, like I'm wondering like if it's kind of like that sort of situation, but I also think that you could be right that her image of like a healthy body could be skewed due to her eating disorder. And she said that she still gets nervous when she has to eat unhealthy meals for too long.
But I would like to know, what does that mean? Like, who's making you eat McDonald's every day, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
but like that's where I kind of think the eating disorder comes into it as well. Like, unfortunately, eating healthy, like that sounds crazy. Like eating healthy is a good thing, but when you have an eating disorder, sometimes you get so caught up in like not wanting to gain weight
but
or
you
whatever.
Eat broccoli and tuna every day.
Yeah, or like you're like, well, I'm eating healthy because I'm eating vegetables and fruit, and it's like, okay, are you only eating vegetables and fruit? Because that's not healthy. Like, you know what I mean? So it might be a little bit of that. But again, like you said on the other one.
You have to go off of what she's put there.
Yeah. So in that case, like based off of what she put and how she writes it, don't apologize, or I wouldn't. I mean, you can if you really want to mend the relationship, I guess, but you don't owe them anything, basically. And you're not the asshole.
Right. Another thing, she at no point did she say that her parents were like obese or anything. Like if she had included that her parents were like really overweight because of their diet, then I would be more inclined to think that like they're just fat and eat disgusting food.
Yeah.
But she didn't say that they were like out of shape or anything like that, so that just sort of adds to, I think she may actually be a little underweight.
Definitely could be. But who knows? But I hope that she's okay.
I hope she's okay, and in this context, she's definitely not the asshole.
Yep. That's the last one for today. Thank you for watching. please feel free to comment down below what you think about any of these scenarios. Were they the asshole? Were they not the asshole? What's your perspective? And let me know if you would like to see similar videos. I've been doing a couple of different, filming a couple of different videos, so they'll be coming out randomly at some stages of time. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Yeah.